First Contact Deception. Captain Alina Reyes stood on the bridge of the Earth diplomatic corps vessel, Peacemaker, her dark eyes fixed on the massive space station growing larger in the viewscreen. After centuries of wondering if humans were alone in the universe, first contact had finally been established. Not only were we not alone, but the galaxy teemed with intelligent species united under what they called the Galactic Conclave. "Captain, we're receiving approach coordinates," Lieutenant Maya Chen announced from her communications station. Alina nodded. "Forward them to navigation." "How long until we dock?" "Approximately 4 hours at current velocity," replied Navigator Thomas Wells. 4 hours until humanity's first official meeting with representatives from over 20 alien civilizations. The weight of responsibility settled heavily on Alina's shoulders. Earth's future could depend on the impression they made today. Dr. Leon Okafor, the ship's xenobiologist, joined Alina at the viewport. "Nervous?" he asked. "Cautiously optimistic," Alina replied. "The briefing materials they sent indicate most conclave species evolved as herbivores or filter feeders. They appear peaceful enough." Leon nodded, which is precisely why they selected this crew for the mission. Minimal visible musculature, softer features, no obvious predatory characteristics. "We're supposed to look as harmless as possible." Alina glanced around at her crew. It was true. Everyone selected had been chosen partly for their less intimidating appearance. The mission was clear: hide humanity's apex predator nature long enough to establish positive relations. "Dr. Vasquez to the bridge," Alina called over the intercom. A few minutes later, Dr. Isabella Vasquez arrived. As the cultural specialist, she had spent months studying the limited information available on conclave customs. "Final review, Doctor. What are our primary concerns?" Isabella straightened her glasses. "No sudden movements. Many species find our speed alarming. Minimize smiling with teeth visible. Our omnivore dentition pattern reads as threatening. And above all, no displays of strength or physical prowess. Most conclave species evolved in environments with lower gravity than Earth. They find our physical capabilities disturbing." "In other words," said Security Chief David Nakamura as he joined them, "pretend we're not the most dangerous beings on this station." The security officer looked the least diplomatic of them, all with his broad shoulders and military bearing. "Precisely," Alina agreed. "We are peaceful explorers first. The Conclave doesn't need to know our complete history yet." David frowned. "Intelligence suggests the Conclave station has concealed weapon systems. They're not showing their full capabilities either." "Trust but verify," Alina said quietly. "Standard procedure, Chief. We'll maintain the diplomatic approach, but I want you to discreetly prepare security contingencies." David nodded and left to brief his team. Alina returned her attention to the sensor readings. Something about the approach vector troubled her. The route kept the Peacemaker within range of what appeared to be hidden weapon platforms. She kept this observation to herself for now. "All departments prepare for first contact protocols," Alina announced shipwide. "Remember your training. We represent not just our nations, but all of humanity." As the crew moved purposefully around her, Alina studied the growing conclave station. Humanity had dreamed of this moment for generations. Now that it was here, Alina couldn't shake the feeling that they were being assessed as much as welcomed. The conclave had reached out after decades of monitoring human broadcasts. They claimed interest in peaceful cultural exchange. But Alina knew that in nature, herbivores were often more cautious than predators. For good reason. "Lieutenant Chen, transmit our formal greetings as we enter final approach," Alina ordered. "Yes, Captain." As the message went out, Alina straightened her uniform. Humans had evolved as persistence predators with problem-solving skills that had taken them from cave-dwelling hunters to space explorers. Now they would see if they could adapt those same skills to galactic diplomacy. The game had begun, and both sides wore masks. Alina wondered which would drop theirs first. The grand ceremonial chamber of the Galactic Conclave Station glittered with light reflecting from crystalline structures hanging from the vaulted ceiling. Captain Alina Reyes led her team forward, conscious of every measured step. The hall was filled with representatives from 23 different species, all watching the humans with obvious curiosity. "Remember," Alina whispered to her team, "slow movements, minimal teeth." High Consul Velox, a tall, willowy being with iridescent skin and 4 graceful arms, stepped forward to greet them. His voice came through their translation devices with a melodic quality. "We welcome the representatives of Earth to the Galactic Conclave Chambers. Today marks a historic occasion as we extend friendship to your world." Alina bowed slightly, a gesture they had been told was universally respectful. "On behalf of Earth and all humanity, we thank you for your welcome and look forward to peaceful relations." As formal introductions continued, Alina noticed how physically different the conclave species were from humans. Many had evolved from grazing or filter-feeding ancestors, with eyes positioned for maximum peripheral vision. Others had clearly developed in low-gravity environments, with elongated limbs that would fracture under Earth's stronger pull. Most importantly, none showed the compact muscle mass or forward-facing eyes that marked humans as predators. Dr. Leon Okafor leaned close to Alina. "They seem tense around us," he whispered. "Probably just unfamiliar with human physiology." Alina replied, but she wasn't convinced. These beings recognized predators when they saw them, regardless of how diplomatically they behaved. The delegation was guided to a reception area where foods and drinks from various worlds were available. Security Chief Nakamura positioned himself where he could observe the entire room, while Dr. Vasquez engaged a group of conclave historians, carefully concealing her teeth when speaking. "Your cultural development patterns are fascinating," Isabella said to a short, furry being who introduced himself as Scholar Trezek. "We have much to learn from each other." "Indeed," replied Scholar Trezek, blinking large, side-set eyes. "Though your species advanced from primitive technology quite rapidly, most unusual." Across the room, a server carrying delicate crystal vessels tripped on the edge of a decorative floor covering. Without thinking, Lieutenant Chen moved with natural human reflexes, catching 3 falling vessels in quick succession before they could shatter. A sudden silence fell over the nearest aliens. Maya realized her mistake immediately. She had moved faster than any of them could, displaying the reflexes that mark humans as dangerous hunters. "Excellent catch," Alina said loudly, trying to diffuse the tension. Lieutenant Chen was a gymnast before joining the diplomatic service. Conversation slowly resumed, but Alina noticed several delegates whispering among themselves, casting glances at the humans with new assessment in their eyes. Near a refreshment table, Security Director Krelvoth, a reptilian being with scales that shifted color with his mood, watched the humans closely. His scales had darkened when he witnessed Maya's display of reflexes. He tapped a discreet communication device on his wrist. "Begin full capability assessment of the humans," he whispered. "Priority 1. Meanwhile, Leon found himself speaking with a conclave xenobiologist, a being with 6 limbs and pale green skin. "Your species developed in high gravity with significant solar radiation," the xenobiologist observed. "Such conditions often produce robust physiological traits." Leon nodded carefully. "Earth shaped us in many ways. We adapted to survive. Survive is what worries us," the xenobiologist said quietly, more to himself than to Leon. As the reception continued, Alina circulated through the room, exchanging pleasantries while observing the subtle power dynamics between conclave species. Some clearly held more influence than others, and alliances were visible in how they grouped together. High Consul Velox approached Alina again. "Captain Rice, the conclave has prepared quarters for your delegation during the negotiation period. We anticipate several weeks of productive discussions." "Thank you, High Consul. We look forward to learning more about the conclave and its members." But as Velox led them toward their quarters, Alina caught him watching Maya with an expression she recognized from Earth's wildlife. The careful attention prey animals give to predators they're not sure of. The diplomatic mask was holding, but barely. Alina wondered how long they could maintain this careful dance before someone revealed their true nature. 3 days into negotiations, Alina sat in the private conference room assigned to the Earth team, reviewing reports with growing concern. The negotiations aren't progressing as expected, she said to Dr. Vasquez. Every time we propose open trade routes or cultural exchange programs, certain conclave members find reasons to delay or limit the scope. Isabella nodded. I've been studying their communication patterns. There are informal alliances forming among at least 8 species, all seemingly focused on restricting human expansion beyond our solar system. They're afraid of us, Alina said quietly, despite our best efforts to appear peaceful. Can you blame them? Isabella asked. Biologically speaking, we're terrifying to them. Forward-facing eyes, quick reflexes, endurance that lets us chase prey to exhaustion. In their evolutionary memory, we're the monsters from the shadows. The door slid open, and Security Chief Nakamura entered. His expression was grim as he placed a datapad on the table. We have a security problem, he said. Someone's been attempting to access the Peacemaker's database. They're particularly interested in Earth's military history and physical capabilities. Alina frowned. Were they successful? No, David replied. But the attempts are sophisticated. I've traced them back to Conclave security networks. So much for trust and transparency, Alina murmured. Her communication device chimed. It was a secure message from Admiral Harrington back on Earth. She read it quickly, her expression darkening. What is it? Isabella asked. A Conclave exploration fleet has been detected surveying our outer colonies near Proxima Centauri. No formal notification was given. David's posture stiffened. That's a direct violation of the preliminary agreement we signed yesterday. I'll speak with High Consul Velox immediately, Alina said, standing. An hour later, she returned looking frustrated. The consul called it a routine navigational exercise. He apologized for the oversight in not informing us. He's lying, David said flatly. Obviously, Alina agreed. But we need to maintain diplomatic protocols while we gather more information. In her personal quarters that evening, Dr. Leon Okafor was reviewing xenobiological data when his door chimed. He opened it to find a young Araxian scientist he had met during the welcome reception. The Araxian had compound eyes and translucent skin that pulsed with bioluminescence, currently a nervous blue-green. Dr. Okafor, the alien said quietly. May I speak with you privately? Leon invited her in, curious about the secretive behavior. My name is Talia, the Araxian said once the door closed. I'm a junior xenobiologist in the Conclave Science Division. What I'm about to tell you could cost me my position. I understand, Leon said gently. Whatever you share will be treated with discretion. Talia's skin rippled with anxiety. Humans are the first evolved predator species the Conclave has encountered in over 700 years. Leon tried to hide his surprise. Surely there must be other predator species in the galaxy. There were, Talia replied. They were either contained to their home systems or redirected to uninhabited regions of space. Contained? Leon asked, a cold feeling spreading through his chest. The Conclave fears species with, Talia searched for the right word, aggressive potential. Historical records show that the last major interstellar war devastated dozens of worlds. Since then, Conclave policy has been to carefully manage species integration. And how do they manage potentially aggressive species? Leon asked carefully. Talia's skin darkened. Through technology restrictions, limited territory expansion, and if necessary, more direct interventions. You mean military action, Leon said. Only as a last resort, Talia insisted. But humans are different. Your technological advancement happened too quickly. By the time the Conclave detected your radio signals, you were already reaching for nearby stars. Leon thought of the defensive systems Earth had built over centuries of internal conflict. The conclave had no idea what humanity was truly capable of. "Why are you telling me this?" he asked. "Because I believe in true scientific exchange," Talia said, her color shifting to a more resolved purple. "And because there are others in the conclave who disagree with this policy of containment. We believe diversity, including predator species perspectives, makes us stronger." After Talia left, Leon immediately contacted Captain Reyes. Predators unleashed. Captain Elena Reyes assembled her senior staff in their secure conference room, the air thick with tension as Dr. Okafor finished briefing them on his conversation with Talia. "So the conclave's peaceful overtures are a facade," Security Chief Nakamura said, his voice low and controlled. "They've been assessing us for containment from the beginning." Elena's expression remained measured, though her eyes had hardened. "We need verification. Dr. Vasquez, what have you found in the historical archives they've granted us access to?" Isabella's fingers danced across her datapad. "I've been cross-referencing the information. There are curious gaps in their historical records, entire species that suddenly disappear from mention. Based on contextual analysis, at least 3 spacefaring civilizations have been contained in the last millennium. And the exploration fleet near Proxima Centauri?" Elena asked, turning to Lieutenant Chen. Maya's face was grim. "Admiral Harrington's latest update confirms they've deployed scanning technology well beyond what they've disclosed to us. They're mapping our defensive capabilities." Elena stood, pacing the room slowly. The others watched her, waiting. This was why she had been selected to lead this mission, not just for her diplomatic skills, but for her strategic mind. "We maintain the facade," she finally said. "Continue negotiations as if we suspect nothing. Chief Nakamura, discreetly enhance our shipboard security protocols. Lieutenant Chen, establish a covert communication channel with Earth Command using the quantum entanglement array, something the conclave can't detect or intercept." "And if they move against our colonies?" David asked. Elena's gaze was steel. "Then they'll learn why humanity survived on a planet full of predators." 3 days later, during what appeared to be routine negotiations on cultural exchange protocols, Elena's private communication device vibrated with an urgent message. Her expression remained neutral as she read it, years of diplomatic training keeping her features composed despite the alarming news. Proxima Centauri colony had gone dark. The conclave exploration fleet had moved into attack position. "High Consul Velox," Elena said smoothly, interrupting the current speaker. "I'd like to address a matter of some urgency." The willowy alien turned all 4 of his eyes toward her. "Of course, Captain Reyes. The conclave recognizes Earth's representative." Elena stood, her movements deliberately measured. "Our long-range sensors have detected unusual activity near our Proxima Centauri settlement. Would the conclave have any information about this situation?" A ripple of communication passed through the alien delegates. Velox's skin shimmed slightly, a tell Elena had learned indicated stress. "We have no specific information," Velox replied smoothly. "Perhaps a solar disturbance affecting your communications." Elena smiled, this time allowing her teeth to show fully. Several delegates visibly recoiled. "Interesting," she said, "because our sensors indicate conclave vessels have established blockade positions around our colony." The chamber erupted in whispers. Security Director Krelvoff stepped forward, his scales flushing dark with agitation. "Captain Rice, these accusations are serious. Perhaps we should discuss this matter privately, rather than disrupt these important negotiations." Elena looked directly at Krelvoff, her predator eyes locking with his. "I agree completely, Director. In fact, I insist that you, High Consul Velox, and the Defense Committee join me immediately." In a smaller chamber, Elena faced the conclave leadership. The pretense of diplomatic niceties had evaporated. "Your species represents an unacceptable risk," Krelvoff stated flatly. "Our assessment confirms what we suspected. Humans are apex predators with advanced technology and a history of warfare. The conclave cannot allow unrestricted expansion of such a species. So you decided to contain us," Elena said, her voice deadly calm. Starting with our most distant colony. High Consul Velox at least had the decency to look uncomfortable. Captain Rice, please understand. This is standard protocol. The blockade is temporary, a precautionary measure while we complete our assessment. And if your assessment concludes we're too dangerous, Elena asked, then restrictions would be implemented for the greater peace, Krelvoth said. Your species would be granted your home system, but expansion would be regulated. Elena's laugh surprised them. It wasn't the reaction they expected. Director Krelvoth, there's something fundamental you've misunderstood about humans, she said. We've spent our evolutionary history being hunted by predators larger and stronger than ourselves. Do you know how we survived? The aliens remained silent. We became more dangerous than anything that hunted us, Elena continued. Not through physical strength alone, but through intelligence, cooperation, and the development of tools. When faced with threats, we don't cower, we solve problems. She activated a holographic display on the conference table. It showed the peacemakers' full sensor readings of the conclave station. For instance, while you've been assessing us, we've been mapping every centimeter of this station. We've identified all weapons systems, defensive shields, and life support nodes. My security team could disable them in 17 minutes if necessary. The aliens stared at the detailed scans in shock. That's impossible, Krelvoth hissed. Our security protocols are impressive, Elena acknowledged. But humans specialize in pattern recognition. It's what makes us excellent hunters. She changed the display to show the Proxima Centauri system. Now, regarding your blockade. At this moment, 3 Earth Defense Force carriers have dropped out of FTL on the far side of the Proxima star. Your vessels are currently surrounded by twice their firepower. Velox's skin had gone pale. You had military vessels positioned near your colony. You told us these were peaceful settlements. They are peaceful, Elena said. The carriers arrived 20 minutes ago in response to your aggression. You see, we suspected you might not be entirely honest with us. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. The conclave delegates exchanged glances of alarm and confusion. How? Krelvoth finally asked. Our sensors detected no incoming vessels. Elena smiled again. Another human trait. We're incredibly paranoid. Our FTL technology incorporates stealth capabilities we haven't shared with the conclave. She leaned forward. Now we have 2 paths forward. First, you can withdraw your vessels, end this containment nonsense, and engage with humanity as genuine equals. Or second, she let the statement hang in the air. You would risk war. Velox asked, incredulous. We don't want war, Elena said firmly. Humans have spent centuries fighting amongst ourselves before achieving unity. We know the cost of conflict better than you might think, but we will not be contained, and we will not allow threats against our people to stand. Krelvoth's scales had shifted to a muted gray, a sign of uncertainty, Elena had learned. The conclave has not faced a true military challenge in 7 centuries, he said quietly. Then let's ensure you don't face one now, Elena replied. High Consul, I propose an immediate cessation of all hostile actions and a renegotiation of our relationship, this time with complete transparency on both sides. 6 hours later, Elena and her team watched from the Peacemaker's Bridge as the conclave vessels retreated from Proxima Centauri. They're actually withdrawing, Maya said, slight disbelief in her voice. Predators recognize strength, Dr. Okafor commented. We just demonstrated ours. Dr. Vasquez looked up from her communication panel. The High Consul has agreed to new diplomatic talks. They're requesting to begin tomorrow. Elena nodded. And Earth Command. Admiral Harrington sends his congratulations, David replied. The carriers will maintain position until the new agreement is finalized. Elena gazed at the starfield on the main view screen. It seems our diplomatic mask slipped sooner than expected. Was there ever a chance it wouldn't? Isabella asked. They were always going to discover what we are. True, Elena acknowledged. But now, They've also discovered something else about humans. What's that? Maya asked. That we're predators who genuinely desire peace, Alina said. We developed diplomacy not because we're weak, but because we understood the cost of constantly baring our teeth. We chose cooperation not from fear, but from wisdom. On the conference table, a message appeared from High Consul Velox. Alina read it aloud to her team. Captain Rice, the Conclave Council has convened an emergency session following today's events. After considerable deliberation, we have reached a consensus. Our assessment protocols require significant revision. It appears we have much to learn from humanity. The Conclave has never before encountered a species capable of both such potential ferocity and such genuine restraint. Perhaps this is what true civilization looks like, not the absence of predatory instinct, but its conscious control. We await tomorrow's negotiations with new perspective. David smiled slightly. It seems they're finally seeing us clearly. Yes, Alina agreed. Not just as predators pretending to be diplomats, but as predators who chose to become diplomats, Leon finished. Alina looked around at her crew, the best of humanity, selected to represent Earth among the stars. Send a message to the High Consul, she instructed Maya. Tell him we look forward to building a lasting peace, one based on mutual respect rather than fear. As the Peacemaker orbited the magnificent Conclave station, the galaxy was adjusting to a new reality. Humans weren't just another species to be managed or contained. They were apex predators who had mastered their nature enough to extend a genuine hand of friendship, while keeping the other hand ready, just in case. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Conclave faced a species they couldn't simply overawe or intimidate. Instead, they would need to learn what humans had discovered through their bloody history. True peace comes not from dominance, but from equality, respect, and the wisdom to know when to bare your teeth and when to smile with them hidden. The diplomatic dance would continue, but now everyone knew the steps.